Well, hello and good day to all of you wonderful viewers out there. Hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to watching another episode of Awesome Joe's Playback-to-Back Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be talking about James Gunn's DC's The Suicide Squad. It's taken me quite a while to getting to doing this movie review, but here I am. I just finished doing Jungle Cruise. It's out on YouTube and on Facebook right now. If you guys want to go ahead and check that out, it is on there. Just look me up at Awesome Joe Movie Reviews. And quite normally, what I like to go ahead and remind everybody nowadays when it comes to my modern day videos is that there is a slight possible chance that these videos may contain spoilers due to shortage of scheduled timings. So I am really doing the best I can to hold my tongue in reference to all the spoilers that are going to be told based off of the recently released movies that are hitting theaters, because I really would like for everyone to get a chance to go out there and watch either the movie or TV show that's out on streaming services. But unfortunately, like I said, I don't really have enough time to be doing a non-spoiler video and then a spoiler video. Believe me, I would love to do that, but it's just not in the works right now. So, warning to everybody, if you have not seen the Suicide Squad movie just yet, at either your local theater or on HBO Max. I wouldn't like for you to, but if you want to, go ahead and pause this video, go check it out, and then come back and be a part of our awesome conversation. So, you guys have been warned. So here we go, everybody. James Gunn, DC, The Suicide Squad. This is a sequel to the 2016 Suicide Squad movie. Completely different direction, much more darker, much more, the characters are not the same. This one happens to be a lot more brighter. This one happens to be a little bit more longer, and plus it is rated R. I love it when movies are given the opportunity to give us what we really want, is a rated R movie, but not for a specific saying, oh, go ahead and overuse the F-bomb so many times in a movie. This movie doesn't do that, which is great, because if I've seen rated R movies that are just for the sake of being rated R, you have to say the F-bomb every single sentence in the entire movie, and that really just throws me away. I'm not really fond of that at all, and thank God that they didn't do it to this one. There are F-bombs in this movie, but not overused. It feels more down to earth. It does feel very realistic. They're not just throwing F-bombs in there just for the sake of the fact that this movie is rated R and we can throw as many in there as we want. No, that's not the case, which is fantastic. Brilliant. Good job, James Gunn. James Gunn is the director of this movie. Of course, we all know him. He does a lot of great work, but his very most memorable films that he's done throughout the years is the Guardians of the Galaxy movies through the MCU. And he does a really great job with them, and having it coming in here and doing the same thing with the Suicide Squad is fantastic. I find that the first Suicide Squad movie was trying to be a little too much Guardians of the Galaxy, but this one is, even though that it's directed by James Gunn, it doesn't feel like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. This feels like a Suicide Squad movie. That's what I loved about this movie, is that it was its own film. It wasn't even trying to be a sequel to the first Suicide Squad movie. It wasn't trying to be part of this extended universe where we do know that Superman, Batman, the Justice League, everybody is in this universe. No, this has to do only just with the Suicide Squad, and I love it. It's fantastic. The movie is called that. Give us only that. I love it. It is its own movie. It's not trying to be a part of anything other than itself and within its own storyline, and having to extending that within its own franchise. And I love that. I love what they're trying to do here. we all know that DC is going all over the place, giving us so many different directions as to what they are trying to anticipate on, into giving us fans and audiences out there who whatever DC film that they are putting into development. It's still a big question mark as to what their plans are, but there are plans, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what those plans are going to be in years to come. But yes, the movie's directed by James Gunn. You got Idris Elba in here, is phenomenal as Bloodsport. We don't get Will Smith coming back here, but I actually admire a lot more of Idris Elba. He's very down to earth. I love his character. I love the way that he acts, and he's just fantastic. I love it. A great addition to the Suicide Squad movie. We get returning Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn. Also a phenomenal job. We got to see her in Birds of Prey. We got to see her in the first original Suicide Squad movie, and she was mentioned in the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, rumoring that she gets killed somewhere in time. You would think that it would happen in this movie. Well, like I said, spoiler alert here, everybody, but no, she doesn't, which is great. And like I said, this movie doesn't have any connection with any of the other DC films. It is its own in particular film. Love it. Peacemaker, played by John Cena. At first, I'm not a fan of John Cena because his acting was terrible, but I can so tell that he has improved with his acting skills. I got to see some of his work, his recent work on F9. You can tell he has improved. I really do admire that about him, is that he has put in the work, and I'm just impressed with the way that his acting capabilities have improved. So I'm very, very happy about him being a part of this. Very, very comedic. I love his acting. He's oh man, he's just something else. You know, something that I never really felt about Dwayne Johnson. I love Dwayne Johnson. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like in the world of Hollywood, he's extremely overused, and he's like in almost every other film. But with John Cena, I could tell that he's really putting in something that we really haven't seen before. What an actor would do to become a very favorable and memorable character. So great credits over to John Cena for having to doing that. And then we get returning back Viola Davis playing Amanda Waller, which is still fantastic. One of the great pluses of the first Suicide Squad movie was Viola Davis, and she does even more fantastic in this film. I mean, wow, her acting is just incredible. You don't even feel like it's Viola Davis. You feel that this is actually Amanda Waller. I love it. It's so great. This is one of the another new addition to the Suicide Squad team is Ratcatcher, played by Daniela Melchior. Like I said, my pronunciation is terrible, so forgive me if it's not 100% correct. I am trying. If I happen to misspell it, mispronounce it, please forgive me. I am doing my very best here. But this character, Ratcatcher, she kind of reminds me of Ant-Man. It's kind of like Ant-Man, you know, controlling ants, but it's a girl controlling rats. Rats. And I liked it. I really did like it. She was very lovable. I don't really see her as a villain, but she's a great addition to the team, and she really does a lot in this. And she's the very heart and soul of this team in this movie. I really do find her to be a great addition, and hoping to getting to seeing more of her if there is another Suicide Squad movie, or even in another DC film in general. Oh my God, I love this character. In the first film, I do have a very favorable character, which I'm going to be mentioning here a little bit. But in this film, oh my God, did I love King Shark. King Shark was amazing. And who would have guessed? I mean, I already knew this, but I mean, it's just great getting to knowing that Sylvester Stallone is actually voicing King Shark. And he's actually in another James Gunn movie, which is Guardians Volume 2, as a cameo for the next big Guardians of the Galaxy team up, which I hope that they do a solo film for that team somewhere down the future for another Guardians movie. So Looking forward to seeing that, but oh my god, King Shark is just so phenomenal. I really do love it. I don't like to compare, but he reminds me so much of Groot from the Guardians. This is like the DC version of Groot, and I just love King Shark. There were so many times where he could have gotten himself killed off in the movie, and the whole time I'm like pulling my hair and I'm saying, no, please don't kill this one. Please, I mean, there's so many characters in this movie that do get killed off, but please don't kill King Shark. I love King Shark. And there's just so many times that he could have died, but it's just great to know that he is invincible. He's actually bulletproof. He can survive high jumps. He can survive getting almost eaten to death by tiny, colorful piranhas and beaten down by a giant starfish. So he's invincible. He can get his butt kicked as much as he can, but he will still stand back up and swallow you and chew you into num-nums. So I was just, oh man, I just love King Shark. Then coming back is Rick Flag, also returning Joel Kinnaman, and man, it's great getting to see him coming back because he actually did a lot better in this movie than he did in the first film. And it was great getting to seeing him, and I would have loved to see him one more time in another Suicide Squad movie. But, golly, man, he gets killed off. I can't believe it. He gets killed off, and I'm like, no, you did not. Oh, man, it was sad because now every time when I get to see the original Suicide Squad movie, and every time I see Rick Flag, I'm like, oh, you're gonna die in the next movie. So it was pretty sad getting to see that. He died for a reason, and that reason wasn't really fully fulfilled towards the ending of the movie, but it was sad just getting to seeing him go. So, but great character, sad that he's gone. So really another really cool character in this movie is another great addition. Polka Dot Man, played by David Dastmalchian. We all know him. He's in a lot of really great movies, but I'm like scratching my head one time and I'm thinking, wait a minute, wasn't this guy in The Dark Knight? You know, he was only in it for a minor few scenes, but I'm just like thinking, okay, there's no connection. Dark Knight, the Christopher Nolan trilogy, is its own set of films. It has nothing to do with the DCEU. So there really is no connection here, and I just loved this guy. He was just so great. He gets killed off too, and I'm like, really? I mean, this is something that James Gunn loves to do. He loves for us to love these characters, and then having to killing them off, it feels very down to earth. I feel very much pulled in, and it feels so real. And I love that. And that's something that I don't really like this movie, Terminator Dark Fate, but the one thing I did love about Terminator Dark Fate is the fact that they killed off John Connor at the beginning, and a lot of people hated that. But for me, I'm like, okay, you pulled me in. I'm actually enjoying this. I love it because the thing is that the hero always lives, but this is like, it feels very down to earth. You killed the hero. You killed the main character, and it's like, okay, this is interesting. I wasn't expecting this, but you got me interested. I can't wait to see what happens next. And that's what this movie does. James Gunn does that specific thing in this movie, and he's won me over that. I don't know, just Polka Dot Man was just phenomenal, and I just wish I could have seen more of him. He died very honorably, and he died very brave. So salutes to Polka Dot Man, even though he's a ridiculous character with a ridiculous superpower, having to hearing it, but when you see it in the movie, you're just like, whoa, I love this guy. This guy is really cool. And oh my gosh, man. Okay, this is the one I was talking about. In the first Suicide Squad movie, I loved John Courtney as Captain Boomerang. He was my favorite character in the first movie. But we didn't get to see him in action as much as I would have loved to have seen him, throw a boomerang and see what he could do with it. And knowing that he was going to be coming back for this movie, I knew that, yes, we're going to see some action. We're going to see how he really does. James Gunn is going to show us how Captain Boomerang fights. We didn't get to see it. Oh my god, man. Because there's just... when it came to the advertisement of this movie, you just see that there's this massive, big, huge amount of these characters being involved into the Suicide Squad. And I'm like thinking, wow, this is a lot of handful of characters. I don't even know if I can keep up with all of them, or even if they're going to have enough screen time throughout this movie. But there was an in particular reason. There's a reason why this movie was rated R. Why? Because it's not just one team. It was actually two teams, Team A and Team B. And Team B, within the first 5 minutes of that movie, gets killed off, besides a few others. And Captain Boomerang was one of those guys. And when I saw that he was just stabbed by a whole bunch of tree pieces and then getting shredded by a helicopter, I'm like, no, you did not just do that. That was Captain Boomerang. I actually knew about this guy in comic books and was looking forward to getting to seeing him being one of the bad guys for a Flash movie. But obviously that's not going to happen. Maybe in a flashback, maybe, but I don't know. But John Courtney is not really an impressive actor. But he did a really great job in the first Suicide Squad movie. And I was really looking forward to getting to seeing him in this one, and we only get to see him less than 5 minutes in this movie, and I was very disappointed by that, but I was also impressed because of what James Gunn can do by just putting you in the corner and not even expecting what's going to happen next. So great job. I mean, just so great job. Speaking of James Gunn, his brother Sean Gunn plays the CGI character Weasel. Even this is actually the first one that actually dies. Well, supposedly dies. He drowns, and it's funny how they tell each other, why didn't we know about this? Why didn't we find out that this guy cannot even swim? But supposedly in the mid-credit scene, he's actually alive. You know, it may have shown that he drowned at the beginning of the film, but the mid-credit scene shows that he's still alive, and we're going to get to see more of him, which is great, because even though Weasel freaks me out a little bit, having to knowing that there is still one individual character still alive from that B team, and still alive and wandering around, we get to see probably in the next Suicide Squad movie, so which is great. You know, and so many others from the B Squad, from the B team. You got Michael Rooker, who is usually in every James Gunn movie, which also gets killed off. I couldn't believe that. Nathan Fillion. You got Pete Davidson. I mean, so many of these guys get killed off. I couldn't believe it. And Peacemaker, John Cena, happens to be the backstabber. He happens to be the one that switches sides. Well, actually, the guy hiding behind the curtain. He's like pretty much the bad guy, because him and Bloodsport really fight each other. You know, trying to see who's the better fighter, because they have similarities with their powers. You know, anything is considered a weapon for them. Anything that they can get their hands on. So they do that throughout the movie, but you can see that Peacemaker, he has himself in a position where he has himself on a different mission that Amanda Waller assigned him to reassuring that the mission succeeds. And that really puts the Suicide Squad in a complicated position. And that's what makes Peacemaker a little bit more of a villain than what our Suicide Squad team actually is. But in a way, it shows that he gets killed off, but at the end credit scene, it shows that he's still alive, and I knew it. I knew that was going to happen, because I found out that they are developing a DC TV show of that individual character, Peacemaker, for HBO Max. So I can't wait to see that. They're actually working on that right now. John Cena is coming back, so it would be great. If we were to have seen an origin story of this character, after knowing that he gets killed off in the Suicide Squad movie, if that were to have happened, I wouldn't have been that interested, because I really do hate origin stories, because if you know what happens to that character sometime in the future within our modern day films, and this is an origin story, it kind of pulls me out, and I don't really know what's going to happen. But no, this series is going to actually take place after this movie, so I cannot wait to see that. That's going to be awesome. And so what's really awesome about this, I love this favorite scene, is because the bad guy that they fight towards the end is called Staros. This giant starfish that's taking over and putting these little tiny starfishes into people's faces like aliens and controlling them. What I love about this is that Amanda Waller commands the Suicide Squad, whoever's left over, to turn around, and because their mission is completed and they don't really care about what happens to everybody in the city with this giant starfish. So these guys, the Suicide Squad, the remaining members, they develop a conscience. They turn around and they ignore Amanda Waller, even though Amanda Waller is just, you know, cursing them off and threatening them, telling them, if you don't turn back, I'm going to blow your head off. And they're not listening. They don't care. They know that they have to do the right thing, which is go and stop this thing before, you know, it kills all these people. And I love that. That was a really fantastic scene. Knowing that when they turned around and started to march into battle, it just showed now that they were no longer villains. They were now heroes. And that was just fantastic. I loved every single one of these characters. James Gunn did a fantastic job. I couldn't get enough of it. This is a rewatchable movie. I've already watched it twice. I was going to watch it in theaters, but it showed up on HBO Max that Thursday evening, and I couldn't believe it, so I said, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. And I tried to find the available time for me to go and do this video, and here it is. So, love the movie. I hope that you guys did too. Rotten Tomatoes went ahead and gave it a 9. Well, at first I saw it was at a 100%, and I couldn't believe the ratings. 100% is fantastic. Then it went down to 96, and now it's down to 92. I don't know why the decrease, and it actually did not make a lot of money because I believe of the HBO Max debut. But for me, I actually loved it enough, and actually giving it a little bit more of a higher rating, giving it a 96%. So Rotten Tomatoes 92, and for me, I gave it a 96%. So I loved this movie, and I really do hope that there's more Suicide Squad movies with James Gunn having to direct or even being involved into the film, because it's just phenomenal. I just had a great time with this movie. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was going to be terrible, but I mean, just bravo. So there you have it, everybody. That's my review for the Suicide Squad. What did you guys think? Did you guys check it out? If so, if you have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section at the bottom. Let's have an awesome time talking about this movie or any movies that you'd like to talk about in general, because I love to talk about movies, but most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. And don't forget that you can check out some more of my videos. Just look me up at Awesome Joe Movie Reviews on Facebook and on YouTube. Don't forget to click on that like and subscribe button there, you guys. I really do appreciate everybody having to supporting my channel. It's a huge personal hobby of mine, and I love to share it amongst all of you wonderful viewers, because I love to talk about movies, but most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. So that's my review, everybody. Thank you guys so much once more again. I'm Awesome Joe. Keep on living the dream, and as always, stay awesome. Thanks you guys once more again, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Bye.